pay your credit card bill. Hello everyone, Financially Free Dee here, and it is 2023 and we are new year, new me. This is the year that you become financially free like me, Dee. And today we are going to start with the foundation, one of the biggest reasons why people's personal credit scores are not at 800 or they are not being approved for the credit limits that they would like. And this is actually 35% of your personal credit score. And we are talking about your payment history. Specifically today, we are going to talk about when to pay your credit card bill. What is your credit card statement made of? Let's make it make sense today. How should we pay it strategically? What does it mean? And most importantly, how do we avoid ever being late again and sacrificing our 800 personal credit score? So we're gonna get into it. First things first, we're gonna talk about what your credit card statement is. What is it made of? I'm gonna break it down. So grab your pen and paper and let's jump into it. So number one, with your credit card statement, what is it made of? First things first, it is going to be your opening date and your closing date, or your billing cycle. So I'm going to use an example from last year. I had my December credit card statement. It was from the billing cycle of November 30th through December 28th. And it was for December's statement. Now, this statement is not due until January 2023. So you have your opening date and your closing date, also known as your billing cycle. You also have your payment due date. So that is, when must this bill be paid before it is considered late? So as I said, mine here is in January 2023. Now, you also have a minimum payment due. What is your minimum payment that you must pay to not be considered late by your payment due date? Also, you have your statement balance. So your statement balance, your minimum payment due, and your current balance are all different numbers typically. So your minimum payment due is just the very minimum that you can pay to be considered paid as agreed. Your statement balance is how I like to pay my bills. So statement balance is literally your billing cycle from 11, in my case, from 11/30 to 12/28, I made all of these charges. These are the charges that I will incur interest on, okay? And your current balance is anything after your statement has closed. So your current balance is for charges that you've made up until today. How I like to pay my bills is I pay the statement balance. Either I pay the entire balance to where I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to ever worry about incurring interest, or I'm gonna pay my statement balance, which is what I will be charged interest on. So anything after the statement balance, I will not be charged interest on until my next statement, okay? Now, one thing that you want to be very mindful of with how interest works is interest is cumulative. And so you want to be sure that if you have a statement that has an opening date of November and a closing date of December, you pay all of what is due from November to December to avoid paying interest. Anything after the closing date in December or whatever month that we are speaking of, anything after the closing date, you will not owe interest on until the next billing cycle. So for me, that would be my January 2023 statement, which I will owe or will be due in February. Okay? Next, to ensure that you are not late, I advise that you put a reminder on your calendar that your bill is due January, February, whatever the date is. Put the due date and then backdate it 3 days. Put the due date and backdate it 3 days to make sure that if you're not the type of person who wants to put your bills on auto pay, you're sure to make sure that you are paid as agreed by the time the due date comes. Okay? Now, another thing that you can do to avoid being late is you can do an auto pay, meaning your account is going to be automatically drafted for whatever the amount is due every single month. Another thing that you want to be sure of is that you set this up to avoid paying any interest charges. So for some people, you're very forgetful, or I don't know, you just have an issue with paying on time. I suggest doing auto pay. You rather overpay than underpay because it does affect your credit. It affects your credit more than anything. Your payment history is 35% of your personal credit score. Trust me, if you try to go get credit and you just paid late, it's going to be very hard for you to get approved. Extremely hard. So, some other things that we want to kind of go over that may or may not be on your credit card statement is your previous balance. You always want to look at your previous balance. Make sure your previous balance and your new balance actually reconcile. Sometimes credit card companies make mistakes. So you want to actually read over your statement. Make sure your previous balance, if you paid off in full, make sure none of the balance carried over to the new statement. Also, you want to check your payments, the payments that you've already made. Also, you want to check and see if you have any other credits. You also want to check your purchases. Check and see if you've had any other debits, any fees charged, and any interest charged. Once you sum up all of those different categories, that should equal your balance, your new balance. You also want to look at how much your credit line is for. Some of us get automatic credit limit increases and don't even know it. But if you check your credit statement, you will see every time you get a limit increase. So always check your credit line. Also always check your available credit and check the days you have in your billing cycle. That's very important. The days you have in your billing cycle determines when your payment due date is. It also will let you know how long or what dates your billing cycle are, okay? So I know that most of us don't really read our statements. We just pay. But you really want to be mindful of this because this can affect you from having that coveted 800 credit score. So how do we get to that coveted 800 credit score? Number one, here is the credit score breakdown for those of you who do not know this. 35% of your personal credit score is your payment history. So, have you been late? That's very important. 30% of your credit score is your utilization. Now, that is very important when it comes to whether you pay the statement balance or you pay the full balance. Because depending on when your credit card company reports your payment, it'll affect your utilization. So let's say, for example, I had a complete balance of $1,000, a total balance of $1,000. But on the statement, I only owe $500. My statement balance is only $500. So I still have an additional balance of $500. If I only pay my statement balance, then my credit card company is going to report that I still owe $500. So with owing $500, that is 50% utilization, which will affect your credit score. So you want to be very mindful of that. You know, you heard me say earlier, I like to pay the statement balance. But that's because my utilization is very, very, very low. Okay, so everybody can't do everything the same. If I have a credit card that's $30,000 limit and my utilization is only $100, that is less than 1%. But if you're a person who only has an $1,000 credit limit and you pay the statement balance of $500, you have 50% utilization, which is going to lower your credit score. So you want to be very mindful of that. All right. So next in the credit score breakdown is your length of credit history. So how long have you had these credit accounts? And they are actually based on an average. So if you've had one card for 10 years and you've had another card for only 1 year, it's going to take the average of 11 and divide it by 2, which is only 5.5 years. Okay, so you want to be very mindful when opening up new credit. That affects your length of credit history, and your length of credit history is 15% of your credit score. Next is your new credit. So new credit, if you're the kind of person who's opening up a new card every other month, your credit score is not going to look too good. So that is 10% of your personal credit history. Last is credit mix. So do you have a mix of credit? Do you only have credit cards? Or do you have credit cards? Do you have loans? Do you have lines of credit? Do you have mortgages? Do you have all different types of credit products? You want to have a mix of credit products. That is called having a strong credit profile. That determines the dollar amount of approvals you get. And we will get into that in a later video. But there is a true science when it comes to credit. So that is, the credit mix is 10% of your personal credit score. So when you add up 35% for payment history, 30% for utilization, 15% for length of credit history, 10% for new credit, and 10% of credit mix, you get 100% of your credit. So when you are thinking about how you pay your credit card bills or your loans or any of your credit products, you want to keep all of these things in mind because they will affect your personal credit score. And last but not least, I am going to remind majority of all of us, we should probably put our bills on auto pay. You would rather overpay than underpay, because if you overpay, they'll give you a credit. You can request your money back. But if you underpay, there's no fixing that. There's no saying, oh, I didn't mean to underpay. So I am wishing you all a financially free 2023 so that you can join me and we build this generational wealth. It's very, very, very important that we do so. So if you'd like to see more videos like this, or you'd like to know more about when to pay your credit card bills, explaining these statements, how to maximize paying your bills and leveraging your cash flow, put the comments down below. Let me know what you want to see. Make sure that you like this video. Make sure that you are subscribed. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Make sure that you share this video with anyone who is trying to become financially free in 2023 and they want to get their credit up. Because if you know anything about wealth, if you know anything about really building assets, you know that you're going to need credit. So thank you all for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.